Democratic National Committee, i.e. our president. And then once we get those messages from these next 3 to 4 days, we will bring that message back to New York and make sure that our president wins, not only wins in New York, but wins with a mandate. The governor, Cuomo, says he wants to make sure that Barack Obama wins with a mandate in order to send a message not only to Washington, but throughout the nation.
Who's paying for 500 New Yorkers to go to Charlotte and stay at
that's funny. Yeah, that's interesting that you should ask. You know, I remember when I was a delegate, we used to have, we used to have fish. We used to sell fish sandwiches on the corner of 135th Street and 7th Avenue in order to help send our Harlem delegation to whether it's Boston or whether it's Los Angeles. So people find ways. I mean, they have fundraising in order to pay for their various delegations to come.
What do you think of Governor Cuomo only making a cameo on Friday while Governor Christie worked the Republican convention all week?
Well, you know, Governor Cuomo, as you know, rarely leaves the state of New York. He is probably the most engaged governor that I have seen in the state of New York for the past at least 10 to 15 years. And as you know, the governor has been actively engaged in governing. He's coming down on Thursday for the big day. He had to march in the West Indian Day Parade on Monday, so he will be here hosting our delegation breakfast on Thursday, and I think it's quite appropriate that he arrives in.
And I misspoke. I said Friday. Of course, it's Thursday. Can I ask you to reflect on the first-term legacy of Barack Obama as the nation's first black president? Do your constituents in Harlem feel the effects of that in any tangible way almost 4 years later, compared to if any other mainstream Democrat had been in the White House who wasn't black the last 4 years?
Oh, Lord, yes. Listen, let me just say this. First of all, the community of Harlem is 100% behind our president. It's not 95, it's not 96, it's not 97, it's 100% behind. And I shudder to think what life would be like if we did not have President Obama. First of all, before President Obama came into office, we were not only fighting not one, but 2 wars. Yes, I'm no student of economics, but I do know that sometimes this country would go into wars just so that the economy would get better. President Obama stemmed the tide of us as a nation going into a depression, not necessarily a recession, but a depression. So President Obama has had a steady stream, albeit somewhat slow, some people would say, of rising employment. But he's done a fabulous, fabulous job. And as I said, I would shudder to think what he would have done, what would have happened if President Obama were not in office.
But not compared to John McCain. I mean, maybe it's an impossible question to answer, but compared to, and I don't want to make it a Hillary thing either, but compared to, you know, a generic white mainstream Democrat, is it the first black president matter?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It does matter, but he is a Democrat, and he has espoused and implemented democratic philosophies and principles. So it does matter, and it just shows what a great nation we in fact live in.
What would you like to hear from the president in his speech?
I want to hear about economics, and I want to hear about jobs. One of the big issues facing my district and the state of New York is unemployment. You know, one of the things I've been doing a lot is having job fairs. It's like I've been giving a job fair once a month, and the lines have been around the block. So that is the main piece that I want to hear from the President of the United States, and I believe that he won't disappoint.
Keith Wright, Assemblyman from Harlem, New York State Democratic Party Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, the news in from the Democratic Convention in the last hour. They are moving President Obama's speech from the outdoor Bank of America Stadium to the much smaller but indoor, with thunderstorms predicted, Time Warner Arena. Republicans are saying this is because they didn't want to be embarrassed by a half-empty stadium. The Democrats are saying It's because of the forecast for thunderstorms, and if there are going to be a threat of thunderstorms, then it's probably a good thing that they're moving it inside. We have tweeted from Charlotte a picture of confiscated umbrellas, because it turns out people are afraid that umbrellas could be weaponized, and they have not been allowed in either convention venue in Tampa or in Charlotte. If you want to see that picture, go to @BrianLera on Twitter. And when we continue in just a minute, the city with America's highest crime rate gets ready to replace its police force. The city is Camden. We'll talk to the mayor of Camden from the Democratic Convention on the plan to replace most of the unionized police force in the city with less expensive, non-union cops. Stay tuned.
WNYC support comes from Holy Name Medical Center's Regional Cancer Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, with access to a broad spectrum of services and equipped with advanced technology. 877 Holy Name or holyname.org. The New York Public Library's Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation. A 4-day exhibition, September 21st through 24th at the Schomburg Center. More at schomburgcenter.org.
It's showtime for the Democrats, and WNYC will be on the scene in Charlotte to bring you special convention coverage on air and online. Join Brian Lehrer each night at 7 for the latest from WNYC reporters, interviews with newsmakers, and live calls from around the country. Then come back in the mornings for analysis and get updates throughout the day. Hear it all on 93.9 FM and AM 820 WNYC.
OMG! Our language is constantly evolving to meet new technologies. On the next Let It Locate show, we'll discuss one of the newest meme-driven acronyms, YOLO, which is short for You Only Live Once. Find out why millennials are so keen to use a phrase that debuted in an 1896 translation of Balzac's The Human Comedy. Kids Today on the Let It Locate show every weekday at noon on WNYC.
The mayor of Camden and vice chair of the New Jersey Democratic Party, Dana Red, very much in the news is Camden having the highest crime rate in the country as of 2010, and the plan to replace its unionized police force at the end of this month. Mayor Red, thanks very much for coming on New York and New Jersey Public Radio. Hello.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Good morning.
And we'll get to your reaction to the convention in just a minute, but can you explain why the state took over Camden's police force in 2005 and what this layoff and replace plan is that's about to be implemented?
Well, actually, Camden has been under an Economic Recovery and Rehabilitation Act dating back to 2002. But even prior to the act, Camden has always struggled with public safety for several decades or more. And we've talked about the problem and we've studied the problem, and there are many, many reports that have been written about how you can address public safety in a way that's holistic and meaningful in the city of Camden. And it's